Hello. Welcome to my Thursday afternoon Facebook Live. You're with Handmade by Julia Quinn, and I do a Thursday afternoon live video on my business page to share inspiration and ideas. This card here is a card from my recent retreat day, which was last weekend. And one of my customers actually, who wasn't able to make it to the day, has asked me about colouring using blender pens and watercolour pencils. So I'm going to share this video with a few hints and tips to help it work out really well for you and to show how easy it is to use those two tools. So this card features the mix and match embossed designs, cards and envelopes. Can you see that lovely embossed design on the card there? This one is actually a standard card using ordinary cardstock, and I've embossed using the mini corrugated embossing folder. But we're going to create this one here. And that's just to show you a couple of different ways of using the colours. I love that the envelopes coordinate really nicely with the cards. And I really love using cards, coordinating cards and envelopes is a really great way to get started on creating. Just one less step in the whole process of creation. So there's my card with the coordinating envelope. I don't need that yet. Here's my cardstock. I have already stamped and cut out a couple of things. Got a bit of baker's twine and my piece of cardstock for inside my card. Now I will use my pierce mat, stamping piercing mat, because I'm stamping using photopolymer stamps. I'm using the Gallery Blooms stamp set for this lovely little floral design and the coordinating Gallery Blooms dies. And I do have to say that my inspiration for this card has come from Paper Happenicity with Monica Famosa. She does amazing work. I really recommend you go and check out her work. She did this card first and I saw it and absolutely loved it. And so did everyone at my retreat day actually too. So Gallery Blooms and stamp and dies to do the floral pieces. I'm using StazOn ink, StazOn Saddle Brown, and I'm using that because I am actually doing a colouring technique. And it's waterproof, so it doesn't run or anything like that, okay? So it's permanent ink. I'll just clean that off there. And while I'm still stamping, actually, before I put my ink away, I'll stamp my greeting, which comes from the beautiful motif stamp set, which coordinates in partnership with the Gallery Bloom stamp set. And it's actually part of the whole beautiful gallery suite. And I'm making this a hello card, which means it's super easy for any occasion. And I'll just stamp that on a bit of my scrap there. And we'll fussy cut that out. I wonder if I can make it a little bit darker perhaps. Got plenty of scrap paper, haven't I? Don't like that one either. Look, it's just practicing stamping hello day. That one looks pretty good. All right, that's all my stamping done. I can move you out of the way. Now, I will cut this out before I start colouring, just so that I can get that all out of the way. So I've got my mini, my base platform and my cutting plate and the Gallery Blooms dies and my top cutting plate here. Just pop that over the top, hold that in place and wind it through. There we go. Okay, now the rest of the project is all about the colouring. Pop you out, pop you over there, and I will need you guys later. So on my two cards here I've used, this one's using crushed curry I think. This one here I think is using real red, so I might use a different colour again today. I'll use the watercolour pencils assortment number 1 I think. And I think I'll go for an orange flower. This actually, yeah. I'm tempted to go another colour. I'll go orange. And what I'm going to do is just add colour, scribbling it on with my pencil just in the centre of the flower. Okay, not the whole petal, just in the centre. And I've just realised I've got a cake in the oven I probably should take out. So I'll just scribble. I'm not being very precise, just scribbling. I am focusing on those lovely lines that the artist has put there. There we go. And using a fair bit of pressure, which gives you more depth of colour, as with any sort of colouring medium, the more colour you put down, the darker the colour will be. Okay, there's those. And then the centres of my flowers, I'm actually going to do early espresso, I think. Just a little bit of colour there. So I'm actually working with the ink I've already got. And last of all, some Old Olive for the leaves. And focusing most of my colour just on quite close to the leaf, where the darkness of the leaves would be. I love the Stampin' Up! Watercolour pencils. I love that they are in our colour families, like they use our colours, which means that they coordinate with cardstock, should you use coloured cardstock or ribbon or any of those sorts of accessories. And last of all, and the colour is quite intense colour, which I do love as well. Rightio, so I am all about artisticness, not perfection, and I actually think that looks quite lovely, just that effect like that. But when you add the blender pens, more magic happens. Now the blender pens are double-ended. I think they're both the same size ends. They do stain with a little bit of colour, but that actually doesn't change its performance. When you, in between changing your colour, you just scribble it off. Okay, so we'll start with the orange, and I'm going to work from the centres and just drag that colour out and see how smoothly it just picks up the watercolour pens. I am leaving white space because I like white space, but if you are a precision person, there is enough colour there that you can go right to the very edges. And this is a really quick and easy way. Some people prefer blender pens because they feel it gives them a little bit more control than a water painter. Water painter is water, so it's a much watery. So there's the difference between the painted petals and the non-painted petals. I'll do the whole flower so you can have a look at the whole thing. Now, that was early espresso, so I'm just going to scribble that off for a bit and then blend out my Old Olive. Thanks everyone for joining me. I really appreciate you spending some time with me this afternoon. Sorry I can't reply to you while I'm live, but I will certainly be doing that after I'm finished. So there you go. This set of flowers began exactly the same as these, but just with the addition of the blender pen, it's pulled the colour out to create that lovely soft colour look. Okay, and because I've already got Old Olive on my blender pen, I'll keep doing the leaves. And here we go. And scrub that off a bit. I'll do my flower centres and then add a blender pen to my pumpkin pie. And I'm using a sort of a circular motion, but that's not necessarily needed. It just helps smooth the colour out easier. and I find less is more. You can always add more colour to your project, but it's hard to take it off once it's already on there. And I love the little white edge look on the petals. I think it looks a little bit more artistic. There you go. So there is very easily 6 flowers all coloured in. Okay, let's put our card together. You'll see how the absolute genius in Monica's design, oops, sorry, didn't mean to knock that, when she came up with this design, is just how easy it is to put together. So I'm just using some dimensionals on the back of each of these flowers, and I'm going to start with my top one and add the next one down there. I love the way it divides the page. This goes on the inside, so I'm just going to put my panel. I always like to have a separate panel for people to write in on the inside of the card. I think it just gives the card a bit more stability, especially these cards and envelopes. They're a little bit thinner than our standard cardstock. Okay, and then the next piece is to fussy cut my hello. I'm just going to follow the lines of the hello. Thank you, Monica, for the fantastic inspiration for this card. It's just beautiful. I love it very much. Now I need some mini dimensionals for my hello because it's tiny. 1, 2, hello. And then with my baker's twine, I've been very generous with the amount of baker's twine I have here, probably far too generous, but I'm actually going to see if I can, that's probably going to be a bit tricky. Let's see if I can tie a bow with 4 layers. There we go. Pull those down there, pull you guys down there. Okay, how'd we go? Well, it's going to make a very full bow at the very least. Cut my tails and, whoops, pull you down a bit more. Stick it on with a mini glue dot. Pull that off there. I usually like to use my take your pick tool, but I can't see it here. And I'm going to tuck you just underneath my bottom of my hello. And the last thing I'm going to do then is, I'll just get my embellishment box here. All my embellishments are always alphabetical, so I can see exactly where they are. And holographic resin dots. These embellishments are an online exclusive. And I love the fact that they coordinate with everything. So remember that name when you want to order them. Holographic resin dots. So I'm just going to add, they sort of look greeny in this light, but if you put them in with pinky purpley things, they come up really pink. So the holographic is really beautiful. I'm having troubles here. There we go. Here, there. I might use a big one up the other end. One there and one there. And there's my card complete. So it's actually a very simple card, and having the cards and envelopes does make it quicker and easier for me. Move all this stuff out of the way and I can show off the cards. So pumpkin pie, crushed curry, real red. This one's got old olive leaves, this one's got granny apple green leaves, and this one's got garden green leaves. Which one's your fave? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, Monica, for the great idea. See ya.